Hello, everyone. This is the 86th episode of the Soccer Nostalgia Talk Podcast. As always, this is Sean from Los Angeles and the Soccer Nostalgia blog, and I am joined by Paul from Shipley, England, and the 1888 letter blog. For this episode, we interview Mr. Jakub Drożdż, discussing the Poland national team during the 1992 Olympics. Mr. Drożdż is the founder of the Polish Football Almanac and also a football enthusiast. Welcome.
Hello. Hello.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Can you just introduce yourself and tell us about your early football memories and history with the game?
Yeah, so as Shahan says, I'm a football enthusiast, in fact. When I was younger, obviously, I was dreaming about professional career in football. It didn't happen, so then I wanted to be a coach. It also didn't materialize. I was even considering referee career at some point, but I didn't do it. In the end, I decided to set up this website, Polish Football Almanac. It combines my passion for football, especially Polish football, and statistics. So that's the result of this passion. And yeah, you ask about my first football memories. It's connected with the beginning of the 90s. So the World Cup in Italy in 1990. Olympics 92, first big tournament in my life from the Polish fan perspective. Yeah, and from that on, it just went on to become a real true passion for life, probably.
Thank you.
Yes. So Poland had stagnated since the 1982 World Cup. And even though, like you mentioned, this 1992 Olympics was not the senior national team, what were the expectations with this Polish team for the Barcelona Olympics?
Yeah, to be honest, before I will tell you about the expectations, what you need to know about this team, it was quite unique at that time in Poland. What I mean by unique, that was the beginning of 90s, the end of communism in Poland. It was 6 years after, let's say, the last success of Polish football in Mexico. So it seemed like a really long time, these 6 years. Janusz Wójcik, the coach who took over this team in 1989, he had a plan from the beginning for this team, and as I said, this plan was quite distinctive because he first wanted to provide for these players, for these teams, the best possible conditions. It wasn't so obvious at that time in Poland. Perfect conditions, I mean, from something basic like equipment, like shirts, like tracksuits, to something more complex, like I don't know, hotels or training camps. So he wanted to organize this at top, let's say, Western European level, which was in Poland like, okay, that's something new. So that was his plan. He couldn't depend too much on Polish FA. They didn't have much money back then. They honestly, probably they weren't so much interested in these youth teams in Poland. So he had this groundbreaking idea of setting up a foundation. He and a few of the richest people in Poland, they set up an Olympic foundation, which became some kind of sponsor for these young players. So they, as I said, they provided these great conditions. It was said at the time that this Olympic team from the beginning had better training conditions, better accommodation than the senior team. So that was really something amazing. But that was his goal and he believed that only through such professionalism in this team he can achieve some success. So it went well. The foundation worked wonders. The players had really great conditions to play. They in fact, After years, they say that they just come to the camps, to the matches, they played, and they didn't have to worry about anything, didn't have to complain about anything. So that was quite special at this team. So expectations within this team from the beginning of his tenure as a coach. Wójcik said that he wants to go to the Olympics and he wants to bring some medals for Poland. So within the camp, during the qualifying session and during this, let's say, 3-year period before Olympic, they created great bond between themselves on and off the pitch. So within the camp, the expectations were quite high from the beginning. Outside of the camp, I think this team was still under the radar, and there was not much attention paid to their performances, at least at the beginning.
So to just mention that qualifying campaign, it was played at under 21 level, and Poland qualified from a group which included England, Republic of Ireland, and Turkey, the same group that was the European Championship qualifier. Poland won all 6 matches. Did that make the headlines in Poland?
It definitely gave hope in Poland. Yes, that something great is beginning to happen. So it made headlines, yes, but despite winning with England, which was at that time the strongest, of course, opponent, quite decent Ireland. In the Polish press, in the media, still was some kind of complaining that maybe the style was not enough to achieve something. But okay, we won, but the style was bad, and etc., etc. So there was a lot of complaining from the media. As I said before, this bond in the team was already created. The players really liked each other. They 6 wins, 100% result speaks for itself. Yeah. So inside the camp, the atmosphere was, I think, still much better than outside of the team. Of course, it is for some people it was something special. This 6 wins. So on some of maybe journalists, maybe public opinion, they believe that maybe this could be the replication of the success from 76, 72 when we won the Olympic medals. But still, there was much more skepticism than hope. I mean, outside the team. Internally, these players and the coach, the staff, they believe this could be it. Still, of course, this qualifying matches, the style of play was changing, let's say, but generally, mainly when you watch some parts of these matches or when you read the comments, the style of play was quite good. That was quite offensive style, entertaining football, good to watch. So this skepticism maybe came from some kind of, I don't know, complaining nature of Polish people. But let's say from this perspective, internal perspective, the hopes and expectations were bigger and bigger for the future.
They still had to go through one last hurdle. There were playoffs against Denmark, 5-0, and return leg they tied 1-1.
Yeah, in fact, they didn't win 5-0. That's they lost 5-0.
Oh,
what happened? That's it. That's interesting story and unbelievable story. But the first match in this playoffs against Denmark, as you said, played in Oval, they lost 5-0, and that was, of course, quarterfinal of this European Championship under 21. At the same time, it was Olympic qualification because the 4 best teams from this tournament would go to Barcelona. So Poland lost this first match 5-0, and obviously everyone was disappointed. Everyone thought, okay, that's the end, that's over, yeah. So there was a lot of confusion, in fact, after this match, after the second match too, because the second match, it ended 1-1. Poland qualified, of course. How did it happen? To be honest, as far as I know, even players, they didn't know how it happened and when it happened. Yeah, there is some story that during the halftime of the second match, we were losing 1-0 at that time in the second tie, and at halftime, players realized or found out that they need a draw to qualify still to Barcelona. So they equalized. They equalized in the second half. They drew 1-1. They drew 1-1 and qualified. Obviously, everyone was looking at this result back in Poland, and even some radio stations or some media outlets announced that it's over for Olympics. So for some time, nobody knew what is going on, to be honest. And it turned out that this result, despite the loss, heavy loss to Denmark, we qualify. Why? Because we were the best team in the qualifiers. So that was first reason, according to the regulations. And the second reason was unexpectedly in another quarterfinal of this tournament, Scotland beat Germany. That was a big shock, big surprise. And Scotland theoretically should go to Olympics, but Scotland couldn't go as a separate nation because the Great Britain team is at the Olympics. So according to the regulations back then, the best team with some overall record replaced Scotland and went to Olympics. That was Poland. So
wow.
crazy story. And really at that time, even Polish media didn't know exactly what are the regulations, what are the rules, and why are we going to Barcelona. So this heavy defeat by Denmark, that was a good lesson. That was a good lesson, as the players later admitted, because they were really, before this double header against Denmark, they were quite confident. They were sure that it's easy opponent and they can do everything they want. So after that, they admitted it was a good lesson, and maybe, which is strange, this heavy loss to Denmark was the foundation for the future success. So that's interesting story about this game. Thanks to regulations, thanks to Scotland, and of course great form in the groups at the group stage. Yeah, we did it. Maybe one more thing. This is some dark part of this qualifying session. Literally a few days before the flight to Barcelona, there was a scandal in the Polish team. Suddenly, it turned out that some of the players, 3 of them to be precise, they took some illegal substances, and the big affair broke in Poland. That what should be done about this? To be honest, until now, still we don't know what really happened and where the truth lies. But that was some let's say dark aspect of this qualifications, which is sometimes repeated even now after so many years. Where was the truth about this? Officially, everything was all right, but that was this dark aspect of the qualifications. Obviously, in Poland, we like to complain, we like to find some guilty ones, so it's still alive in people's minds, I think, sometimes.
Of the players, Wojciech Kowalczyk had earned fame when playing for Legia Warsaw against Sampdoria in 1991, and there was some talk of Juskowiak. Were they seen as the main stars, or were there others in the squad?
Yeah, definitely they were the main star at the Olympics. Before, Juskowiak was quite, let's say, famous or quite a big star in Poland even before, because already before going to Olympics, he already signed for Sporting in Portugal, so he was like well-established player. In Poland, he achieved everything he could because he was the top division top goal scorer. He won the championship title with Lech Poznań. He was even voted the best footballer of the year by a newspaper, famous newspaper back then. So he was like established star. Kowalczyk came unexpectedly, as you said. There's a story that one day he came to the training session at Legia Warsaw by bus. After a few days, he made a debut for Legia first team, first division. After a few next days, or maybe a couple of weeks, he debuted against Sampdoria. He played against Manchester United, and he was one of the best. So immediately he became like almost a big star or some huge prospect in Polish football. So natural consequence was called up to this Olympic team, but also funny story here. It was in the middle of these qualifiers. Poland, of course, had this 100% record, and Janusz Wójcik, the coach of this under 21 team, at the beginning he was skeptical about calling up Kowalczyk because he had this 100% record, everything was working all right. The team was really close knit. The squad, the players, was stable. So he was a little bit afraid of risking adding new piece to this equation. He even discussed this idea with the captain of the team, Jerzy Brzęczek, what to do. In the end, they decided, or maybe Wójcik as a coach, he decided to call him up to give him a chance to see how the team reacts, how he reacts in the team. So he called him up, and he made his debut against Ireland. Of course, he played. He scored a goal. We won, obviously, and immediately he became an integral part of this team. Fit in totally well into the squad. Later in the Olympics, of course, he was our top player up front with Juskowicz, scoring I think 4 or 5 goals at the Olympics. So that was his story into this team. Other players, in my opinion, all these players on our Olympic team, they were quite decent league players even before the Olympics. In fact, they were like 22, 23 years old when the Olympics happened. So they were quite decent players, well known in Polish football. When we talk about stars, we can maybe mention this core of the team, like Aleksander Kłak in goal, really good goalkeeper, unfortunately injury prone. So he was this core part of the team in a goal. And also interesting story with him. Just before going to Barcelona, few months before the tournament, he had a bad shoulder injury. He was even sure he wouldn't go to Barcelona, and he talked with Coach Wójcik, and Wójcik was such a big supporter and fan of this goalkeeper that he told him that if you only can stand up in goal, no worries, you go. And it gave such a boost of confidence to Kłak, to our goalkeeper, that he somehow sped up the process of rehabilitation. He hired some top specialists, and he was ready. He was ready for Barcelona, and in fact, he was really one of the best players of the whole tournament in Barcelona. So he was like a star of the team. I can also add Tomasz Łapiński, the defensive leader. He was like also the important part of this team, praised by the British press after this games against Ireland. In the middle of the field, we had Jerzy Brzęczek, the driving force of the team. So captain, creative midfielder, and up front, probably that was the strongest formation, because besides Juskowicz and Kowalczyk, you mentioned, we had Mirosław Waligura and Grzegorz Mielcarski, two really good strikers, top strikers in Poland. So these were the main players on this team.
Can you describe the trajectory of Poland manager Janusz Wojcik.
Yes, Janusz Wojcik, controversial figure in Polish football. Yes, uncompromising head coach, uncompromising person, not well liked in the Polish FA. So that's interesting because he had many functions within the Polish Football Association. So controversial figure. He became coach in the 80s. He coached few teams in Poland lower divisions in the 80s. Most notably, he coached Jagiellonia Białystok, and he qualified to the Polish top flight in the mid 80s. He was also coach, as I said before, he was also coach of Poland under 16 and under 19 teams before he joined this Olympic team, under 21 team. After the success in Barcelona, he went to coach Legia Warsaw, the most popular club in Poland, where he achieved his biggest success because he won the championship title, he won the Polish Cup. After that, he went to coach in United Arab Emirates, and he came different roles, different teams in this country. He came back to Poland in 97 when he finally, after 5 years of this Olympic success, he became the head coach of Polish men's senior team. So it was like 5 years after Barcelona. He coached our national team in 26 matches. 15 of them he won, but unfortunately he didn't achieve his goal. He didn't qualify for Euro 2000, and as a result he was sacked after 2 years. Later he coached few teams in Poland. He also went abroad, mostly to some Arabic countries. But there wasn't much success in this career after national team. In fact, there wasn't a happy end for him at all because at the beginning of the 21st century he was accused of some corruption charges. He was even sentenced, suspended. So he didn't end well for him.
So now let's go through the 20-man squad for the Olympics. At number 1, we have the goalkeeper Alexander Clark of Iglupol Debika.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Number 2, we have Marcin Jalocha of Wisla Krakow. Number 3, Tomasz Lapinski of Widzolodz. Number 4, Marek Konzbinski of Hutnik Krakow. Number 5, Tomasz Waldok of Górnik Zabrze. Number 6, Dariusz Jezior of Ruch Chorzo. Number 7, Piotr Szwarzewski of Katowice. Number 8, Dariusz Adamczuk of Pogoń Szczecin. Number 9, Grzegorz Milkarski of Olimpia Poznan. Number 10, the captain, Jerzy Berżeczek. Number 11, Andrzej Juskowiak of Lech Poznan. Number 12, the backup goalkeeper, Arkadiusz Oniszko of Zawisza Bydgoszcz, I guess. I can't.
Bydgoszcz. Yeah, Bydgoszcz.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Number 13, Ryszard Staniek of Górnik Zabrze. Number 14, Marek Bajor of Widzolodz. Number 15, Andrzej Kobylanski of Siarka Tarnobrzeg. Number 16, Miroslav Valigora of Hutnik Krakow. Number 17, Dariusz Żubert of Pogoń Szczecin. Number 18, Tomasz Wierzicki of LKS Lodz. Number 19, Dariusz Kozela of Górnik Zabrze. And number 20, Wojciech Kowalczyk of Legia Warsaw. And
I'm impressed.
I apologize to any Polish listeners because I know
you shouldn't.
But yeah, so we start the Olympics in Poland. Poland start against Kuwait on July 24th at Zaragoza at La Romareda. So Poland start with Klak, Lapinski, Kozminski, Waldok, Adamchuk, Jezior, who be replaced by Yalocha in the second half, in the 46th minute. Staniak, Brecek, Swiarzewski, Druskowiak, he'd be replaced by Valigora in the 83rd minute, and Kowalczyk. Poland win 2-0, both goals scored by Druskowiak in the 7th minute and 80th minute. So a comfortable first win for Poland.
Comfortable win, but again, I can only say that after this win, very important first win of the tournament, so some foundation for future success. Still, there was some complaints. There were some complaints and unsatisfied people in Poland who said we should win much more with such an opponent. So you can imagine the atmosphere outside of the team during the tournament, even during the great start to the Barcelona Olympic. But yeah, the win was quite comfortable, and if we can say so about such competition.
Yeah. So a few days later, on July 27, this time at Barcelona, they face off against Italy, which potentially was their toughest opponent. So for this match, Poland started with Klak, Lapinski, Kozminski, Waldok, Adamchuk, Yalocha, Staniak, Brecek, Zwiarzewski, Druskowiak, replaced by Milkarski in the 75th minute, and Kowalczyk. And going through the Italian lineup, there are some familiar faces like Dimitrio Albertini, and Dino Baggio was in the team, but he didn't start. So there's some familiar names. Giuseppe Favalli, who would join Lazio and both Milan sides.
Definitely future European stars. Yeah.
Yes, and managed by Cesar Maldini.
Exactly, a big figure also in Italian European football.
Yeah, so Poland would win this important match 3-0. Druskowiak scored in the 5th minute, knocking in Kozminski's cross from the left side. In the 48th minute, they doubled the lead when Brecek sent Staniak through to score. And at the last minute, Milkarski scored the 3rd goal. And we have to mention that at this point, Italy had 2 players sent off. So Luzardi was sent off in the 59th minute and Corini in the 66th minute. But Poland were basically through to the next round after this win.
That's right. Italy was the under 21 European Championship. That's worth mentioning. So that was the top favorite, not only for beating Poland, but to qualify for the final. In fact, they were quite sure they would do it. And so as you said, that was a typical Olympic game for our team, let's say. We scored the first goal in the 4th or 5th minute, as you say, so at the beginning of the match. Second goal at the beginning of the second half. So it seemed like it was our pattern. It was our idea for this matches. Yeah? 2 goals early at the first and second half, and everything seemed right. As you mentioned, the Italians couldn't take the hit, so they lost 2 players to these red cards. The last goal in the ending minutes of the match, and on paper like a comfortable win. Yep, and it was like we were in the quarterfinals. That's true. After this game, one thing was important to do back then. We wanted to finish first in the group, because finishing first in the group will theoretically would give us a poorer opponent in the quarterfinals. Finishing second in the group would mean we were going to play Spain. So we wanted this first spot, and at that time we were quite confident we should do it and we would do it. So in the last game we needed a draw at least, and yeah, we drew with the United States 2-2. That paved the way to the quarterfinal and the game against Qatar in this stage.
Would you say that this win over such a strong opponent as Italy, was that the inspiration for the rest of the campaign, and did people take notice of that result?
Yeah, that was something like that. Everyone after this game, almost everyone realized that okay, there is something more in this team than just, let's say, fun or youth football. So that was a catalyst. That was a big boost of confidence for these players, and probably from now on they really believe that okay, they can not only win medal but they can win gold at this Olympics. So that was crucial. That was crucial win at that Olympics.
Yeah. So 2 days later, on July 29th, they faced the United States. So not much rest in between the matches. This time at Zaragoza. So for this match, we have Poland starts with Klak, Lapinski, Kozminski, Waldok, Adamczuk. He'd be replaced by Kobylanski in the 81st minute. Staniak, Brecek, Bajor. He'd be replaced by Jezior in the 46th minute. Yalocha, Juskoviak, and Kowalczyk. And in the United States, there are some familiar faces. We have Brad Friedel in goal, Claudio Reyna, Alexi Lalas, Joe Max Moore, among others. So, and Kobe Jones. So this match, the United States would take the lead in the 20th minute through Eric Imler. Poland would tie the match in the 31st minute through Kozminski. And they would take the lead in the 40th minute, this time from Juskoviak. But early in the second half, in the 52nd minute, Steve Snow would tie the match for the United States. So Poland would get the point that they needed. And afterwards, Wojcik said that the players were tired because they only had 1 day of rest. Therefore, the team played on the counterattack as a result. And in fact, both of the goals came from counterattacks. So,
yeah, that was this time of the tournament when this tiredness because of conditions in Spain, because of this frequency of the matches, not a very long break between the matches. So it had taken its toll. And yeah, we started to play a little bit different football. In this match, we didn't have to try very much. We didn't have to win. So we wanted just to qualify with, and we wanted to lose as little as we can when I think about some kind of physical tiredness. Yes. So that was all right. That was under control. I think the whole game was under control for us. We were totally satisfied with the result. And at the same time, probably we saved some energy for the future matches.
Yes. So the quarterfinals was on August 1st. This time at Barcelona at Nou Camp. So Poland facing Qatar. So for this match, Poland started with Klak, Lapinski, Kozminski, Waldok, Adamczuk. He replaced by Jezior in the 79th minute. Yalocha, Staniak, Berzecek, Swerzewski, Juskoviak. He replaced by Kobylanski in the 86th minute, and Kowalczyk. Poland won 2-0. Kowalczyk scored in the 43rd minute. And in the 73rd minute, Yalocha doubled the lead. Again, a comfortable win against a weaker side. Poland advanced.
Yeah. Again, on paper, it looked good. It looked comfortable and easy win. To be honest, one interesting fact about this match, interesting story. It was said at that time that this Qatari team, it wasn't an under 21 or under 23 team. It was the men's senior team of Qatar. That was the rumor. Nobody could prove anything. No, nobody was accused of anything, but there was such, let's say, serious maybe rumor that probably this team of Qatar was like senior, but still we managed. We pulled it off and qualified for the semis.
Yeah. And we have to remind everyone that these 1992 Olympics were the first ones where there was an age limit of 23. Uh, if you remember before, I think it was basically in the 80s, it was essentially the B teams participated more or less. And obviously for Eastern Bloc countries, it was sometimes the main national team, but that's a different story. But this was the first tournament where it was a strict under 23 policy.
Correct.
So now we come to the semifinals. On August 5th, again at Barcelona at Nou Camp, Poland faced Australia. So for this match, we have the following lineup: Klak, Lapinski, Kozminski, Waldok, Adamchuk, Yalocha. He'd be replaced by Bajor in the 61st minute. Brzezek, he'd be replaced by Jezior in the 83rd minute. Staniek, Shwezhevsky, Juskoviak, and Kowalczyk. And for Australia, again, we have some familiar faces. We have Mark Bosnich, the goalkeeper of Aston Villa, who would later join Manchester United. Uh, we have Ned Zelic, who would join Dortmund, and Tony Vidmar, and Paul Oken, who was the defender for Club Brugge. So again, Australia was
few well-known names in European football. Yeah. Later.
Yeah. Well, this turned out to be a very comfortable win for Poland. Poland won 6-1, and Kowalczyk scored first in the 27th minute. Australia actually tied the match by Carl Weird in the 35th minute. And just before halftime, in the 43rd minute, Juskowiak headed in Poland's ultimate winner. And in the 52nd minute, he scored his second goal. And in the 67th minute, there was an own goal. Sean Murphy deflected Kowalczyk's cross. In the 78th minute, Juskowiak scored his hat trick. And in the 88th minute, Kowalczyk scored his second goal of the game. So, but it could have potentially been a double hat trick by Kowalczyk and Juskowiak, if you take into consideration the own goal. So, very comfortable win for Poland ahead of the final.
Again, on paper, it looks now comfortable win. The first half only 2-1 after the first half. It was tough. It was much tougher than the final results suggest. But yeah, that was this moment that we really could feel the tiredness of the players. Again, in this match, the main tactics was to use as much counter attack as possible. It played well, especially in the second half, as you say. Top performance of our two strikers. Australia wasn't that bad team at that time. They were already in the semis, so that speaks for itself. In the quarterfinals, they defeated Sweden, so that was another surprising result at this tournament. So again, before the game with Poland, they were quite confident that they can do it. They can qualify to the final. 6-1, suggests it wasn't. It was easy, but at some point in this match, it wasn't that easy for Poland.
But confidence was growing, I guess, match after match for Poland, it seemed like.
Definitely yes. That was our main advantage, I think, or one of the main advantages in this team. The great connection between the players, the great bond, great atmosphere, and match by match, bigger and bigger confidence that they can achieve something really well. After the semi-final with Australia, Wojciech said something that if we played in the final anyone else, but not Spain, we would probably win. But the Spain was like the top of the top of opponents. So that proved true later.
Yeah, as you say, the final against the host nation, who had a lot of top players in their team, the big names. It must have seemed a very difficult prospect. Was there a feeling that Poland could do it, or was it always going to be a very difficult game?
Difficult game, yes, of course. But as Shahan mentioned before, the confidence was really high in our team. So we could, and even we should pull it off, and we should have won. I believe. The match started really well because after first half we were leading 1-0 after Kowalczyk's goal, and the match was like under control of our team. So everything looked quite nice, quite promising, and quite well. Funny story at halftime. We were up 1-0, and at the halftime, the Spanish king Juan Carlos appeared at the stadium. He was late. I don't know, maybe because of traffic or that's the idea. I don't know, but he was late. He appeared at the stadium at halftime or at the beginning of second half, and he was a big fan of Spanish football, and he was some kind of talisman for this team. It is said that the Spanish team never lost a game when he was at the stands. So he was like bringing luck to this team, and then suddenly he appeared at the stadium at halftime. And I remember also Janusz Wójcik, the Poland's coach, in his book, he said that when he saw the king entering the stadium at halftime, he thought, "Oh my God, now it would be much worse." and it was because the second half started with storming on our goal. Yes, Spanish players were attacking furiously. They created chances. They scored 2 goals. And it seemed like a lost case because they totally dominated the goal. Fortunately, we drew 15 minutes before the end.
So this match on August 8th, again at Barcelona's new camp, Poland started with Klak, Lapinski, Kozminski, Waldok, Jalocha. He was replaced by Zhurzewski in the 56th minute. Staniek, Berzecek, Kobylanski, Jezior, Kowalczyk, and Juskowiak. And for Spain, let's mention some of the players. We have Albert Ferrer of Barcelona, who joined Chelsea a few years later. Luis Enrique, the most recently Spain manager. At this point, he was playing for Real Madrid. Abelardo, the defender from Sporting Gijón. Josep Guardiola, at the time, Barcelona.
We know the guy, probably.
Of course, yeah. So it was some familiar names and playing at home. And like you said, probably any other team, probably Poland would have won. And
I think so.
Poland took the lead through Kowalczyk just before halftime. And in the 65th minute, Spain tied the match. Abelardo headed in Guardiola's free kick from the left side. A few minutes later, in the 72nd minute, Spain took the lead through Kiko. And Poland tied the match in the 76th minute through Staniek. But right at the death, Kiko scored Spain's winner. And that
was heartbreak. I was 12 back then, and I remember crying after this goal for the next 2 days.
Yeah. So, but it was obviously it was a valiant effort, and but we can say, if we compare, to kind of circle back to the start where we're comparing this Poland under 23 team with a full senior side. Did the team benefit with this under 23 format in contrast with what they would have faced at the senior level?
I think not much. Yes, it is still it is still believed to be like a lost generation for the senior team or senior level of players. You know, after the Olympics, after this success, there was hope again within the camp, be among players, among staff, that we should just continue this at senior level, yeah. And that was I think the hope and belief also in the whole nation. I mean, public, fans, media. That was the general view. Unfortunately, in my opinion, unfortunately, the only person or organization who could make a decision was of different opinion. Yeah. And Polish FA they didn't want to risk. They said, in fact, it is believed that there was an opinion in the Polish FA at that time that no, it is too big risk to give, let's say, so much power to these young players, to give so much responsibility for these players, and to change the coach for Janusz Wójcik after the success. So the PZPN, the Polish FA, they decided they would not risk. And in fact, they didn't do anything with this team. I mean, they didn't utilize this potential immediately after Barcelona. So players, coaches, the staff, they believed they could step up, but the president, the president of FA, and the whole association were of different opinion, and they didn't change anything. It proved wrong, in my opinion, and also facts suggest that it was wrong decision, because the next, let's say, big success for Poland happened 10 years after the Olympics, when we qualified for the World Cup in 2002. So, in my opinion, and opinion of many pundits, that was like lost 10 years and definitely lost generation of these players.
From this team, which players benefited the most from the Olympic adventure?
Yeah, again, in my opinion, all of them benefited. All of them gained something, because one thing, that was the Olympics, that was the Olympic medal. So for I think all, or definitely most of these guys, that was the biggest achievement in their professional lives. Career-wise, if we think about this team, also everyone cashed in sooner or later. Sean was giving us this 20-man squad before the Olympics, and all the guys played in Poland. Soon after or later after the Olympics, almost everyone, because 17 of these 20 players, they joined good European league clubs. In my opinion, at that time in the 90s, it was some kind of measure for success here in Poland. Yeah? That you can sign a good contract in Western countries. So 17 of them made it to this, let's say, serious football in Europe. So in that respect, I believe all of them benefited. All of these guys benefited.
And let's just mention that Kosminski, I think he joined Udinese shortly thereafter in Italy. And Waldok would join Bochum in West Germany, Bochum and Schalke in Germany. Shuezhevsky played in France for Saint Etienne, Bastia, and Marseille. Milkarski played for Porto. Juskowiak, well, he had joined Sporting in Portugal. He would also play for Mönchengladbach later on. And Kowalczyk played for Real Betis in Spain. So yeah, some of them earned moves abroad, at least.
Exactly. Yeah, we can add to this list. We can add Dariusz Adamczuk, who soon after he joined Eintracht in Germany. Ryszard Staniek joined Osasuna in Spain. So yeah, really good teams, or decent teams in Europe. So definitely this Olympic adventure was a blessing for most of these guys career-wise.
Now, despite the reservations of the federation, right afterwards, how did the Polish press present these performances? Because, like you mentioned, there would have been an expectation that this group should move up to the main national team, and that the glory years were back now. But that must have been the view of the press and the public, but obviously not of the federation. I'm assuming.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's also some popular now story from Wojciech Kowalczyk, our striker at that time. He was also quite controversial, is quite controversial figure in football. He said after this Olympic success, of course, first it was like huge sadness and disappointment after the loss. After some time, everyone realized that was a huge success. So Kowalczyk, after coming back home from this Olympics, in some press conference or some interview, he said that now we should just change the banner from under 21 to senior and just carry on with this coach, with most of these players. And that was the strong feeling that they can change the fortunes of Polish football in the 90s. As I mentioned, it didn't happen because of the federation's opposition to this idea. Yeah.
So the first challenge after the Olympics was qualification for the 1994 World Cup. Yet again, Poland were drawn against England, and this time they were also facing Norway and the Netherlands, so a tough group. But after their performances in finishing fourth in the group, was there a feeling that the Olympics and senior level are two different worlds?
As I mentioned before, players didn't feel that way. Yeah, they were ready. They wanted to do it. They wanted to play. Polish FA said no. It's like two big difference, two different levels, as you said. So no, and they didn't change the coach. And the current coach of senior team, Andrzej Stelnau, who was in charge during these qualifications to 94 World Cup. He used 10 of these players from the Olympic team. So, okay, 10 players played some role in these qualifiers, but only two of them, Jerzy Brzęczek and Marek Koźmiński, they played more than 5 games in these qualifiers. So, still, they didn't play an important role. These Olympic players, let's say in general, they didn't play important role in these qualifiers. So, as I said, lost generation. We, of course, didn't qualify for this World Cup. These players couldn't prove themselves at this level immediately after this success. Now we of course, it's impossible to say what would happen if Wojciech was coach immediately. Definitely, he would use more of these players in bigger time. He would give them much more playing time. If it didn't happen, we don't know, but the general feeling is we lost. We lost the chance to change something and to utilize these players immediately after in a much bigger scope.
Now, despite the mistrust of the hierarchy, which players, in hindsight, do you think acquitted themselves later on at the international level?
And again, I must say most of them, because 17 players from the Olympic team later on played in the senior team. So almost everyone made international debut in Poland shirt. Some of them played like 2 or 3 caps, had 2 or 3 caps in the national team, like Dariusz Schubert or Arkadiusz Onyszko. Not many matches, but most of them played like Tomasz Wałdoch, 70 plus matches in the senior team. Piotr Świerczewski, the same. So they equated themselves really well. As I said, the next success after the Olympics was the World Cup in 2002, 10 years after. So even three players from this Olympic team went to the World Cup 10 years after, but that was not in my opinion. It was just too late. It was just too late. So for bigger group of these players to be more important part on the senior team. Yeah, but interestingly enough, 17 of them made their debuts at the international level. Generally these 90s, that was the dark times for Polish football without much success. some success at under 16, under 18 level, but in Europe. But that's it. That was really bad times. Unfortunately, that was the time that these were the times of my youth, and yeah, total disappointment. 10 years, disappointing 10 years, total disappointment in that time.
So, in closing, from having had such a strong team in the 70s and 80s, and then after this going such a long time without qualification, how's the 1992 Olympics generation regarded as part of Poland's football history?
Yeah, now with that, from in hindsight, I believe it is this team is regarded really, is perceived really warmly here in Poland. Yeah. Immediately after, we didn't appreciate, I believe, this success so much as now. Needless to say that we haven't qualified for the Olympics since 1992. So, not to mention winning the medals. Of course, despite all this trouble, controversy, these doping issues at the beginning, I think now the team is regarded really well, and probably it will stay like that forever in our minds, because with time perspective, it was a huge success.
With that, we'd like to thank you for your participation in this interview.
Thank you for invitation. It was great pleasure. Huge stress, but great pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. As always, feel free to leave questions and comments. For any questions and comments, you may contact me on my blog, on Twitter. I'm at SP1873. On Facebook, I'm under Soccer Nostalgia. Mr. Paul Whittle can be contacted on Twitter. He's at 1888 letter, and his blog is the 1888 letter. You may also follow the podcast on Spotify, on Google, Apple, and Stitcher, all under Soccer Nostalgia Talk Podcast. Please leave a review, rate, and subscribe if you like the podcast. And Mr. Drożdż info is also listed on the blog and the podcast listing, his Twitter handle and your website. So I urge everyone to check those out. And thank you once more for this very informative discussion.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Paul. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.